Good morning. So guys, last week we massively discussed this thought process, and it's been such a great week to see the energy changing in the private group. It's been so obvious how people are being more positive, people are starting to handle their thoughts, people are starting to become aware, because that was the first thing that we really got to grips with last week. If you're not even aware of negative thoughts, negative behaviours, negative habits, that is literally the worst possible situation, because that means you're literally on an autopilot road to a miserable life, because you're thinking negatively, you're acting negatively, you're behaving negatively, and you're not even aware that you're doing it. That has to be the worst possible situation. That is essentially depression, when people are just acting and behaving a certain way and they're not even aware they're doing it, because it's become such an auto response to life. Now, as I discussed, the most amazing thing in the world, and how incredible it's been to see you guys change, is that the exact same process works in the opposite. That's what manifestation is. That's what the law of attraction is. It's that like thoughts attract like thoughts. Now, we also know it's not about this wishy-washy, I'm going to sit back and just think about it, and then hopefully maybe, it will become a reality, because it's the manifestation of creating and feeling the thoughts and the dreams on such a high level that we believe so deeply that we are inspired to do the work because we believe it's already ours. Not we're just going to sit back and just have such great self-belief but not do anything that then aligns with the actions. The actions have to match the manifestation. Okay, the work has to match the inspiration. The thing that I've now taught you to believe that is already yours, because there's something infinitely way bigger than us that's going to take us towards it. You still have to do the work towards it. Manifestation is about feeling constantly inspired to do the work, because you believe the goal that is already yours, because you're practicing gratitude. When is the only time that we say thank you? When we receive something. So we're saying thank you in advance for the life that we're about to receive, that we know is ours, and now we're inspired to do the work towards it. Now, as you guys know, as I said, the first step to this was awareness. Now, we also need to become aware of our goals. Now, outside of the people that turned up on the live and the people that have sent me the voice notes, the live training that we did last Thursday, I haven't received a lot of voice notes. I haven't received it written, and I'm imagining quite a few people haven't yet done that training. Now, I understand if you're busy and you haven't had time, it's only been last Thursday, but if you have, this is what I want you to consider, because this might just change your life. Now, if you haven't found time to do the training, which was less than 40 minutes between last Thursday and now, and you genuinely haven't, that's okay. But if you have chosen not to do it because you've been doing other things, or you've been distracted, or you've been watching Netflix, or in fact, I'm going to stop bullshit and I'm going to throw flat down. I don't think anyone's been that busy that they couldn't have found 45 minutes to do it. But there we go. I'm always honest, aren't I? So if you haven't, you're kind of saying, I don't want to do this thing. I don't want to write down what my dream future looks like. I don't want to take 45 minutes out to create a compelling future of my life. Other stuff is more important. Now, what could be more important than creating a compelling vision of your future? I can't think of anything else. Now, so even if you haven't done it, you have to think subconsciously you're saying, I don't want to sit down and create a compelling vision of my future. I'd rather carry on living as I am. It's not important to me. So just let that sit for a minute. Likewise, if you have done it half-heartedly, or you have done it in full, but then you've chosen not to record it and share it with me, that's the next hurdle that's keeping you stuck, because you're actually saying, I've taken the time out, and there would be two reasons why you do this. I've taken the time out. That was amazing. I've created this compelling, exciting vision of my future, but I daren't record it and share it with Lee, which is a completely safe, confidential space. Now, there's only two reasons why you would do that. One is that you're embarrassed about your own dreams. You think they're silly. You think they're daft. That's why you wouldn't do it. Oh God, when everything's resisting in your head, I can't share this. This is silly. This is daft. No, I won't. Because you're actually saying, I'm afraid of sharing my own dreams. Now, that might be one reason you might feel silly. You might feel embarrassed. If so, just do it, please, this week. Now, the second might be that you've done the training. You've created this compelling vision of your future. You're not embarrassed about it, but you don't want to share it with me because then I'm going to hold your ass accountable to it. And then when your behavior doesn't align with it, I'm going to say, hang on, X, this is what you said you want. That didn't include going out with the girls and getting leathered every weekend, did it? Or anything. That's just a random example. So just consider that. Either you don't want to create a compelling vision of your future, if so, or you feel it's silly. And I think most people, it will be the middle one. Because this is how most people feel. They actually think, and this is what we're going to come on to in today's training. You actually think your big goals are silly. You think they're not achievable, and you think you can't achieve them. So you're just not even going to try. You're not even going to write them down, and you're not going to share them because it's just daft. It's just daft, all this stuff. And then you go back to living on our autopilot. So please, if you are watching it and you are a private client in the group, just do it because it will change your life. God, if I can do it and send one when I'm crying my eyes out, and Ali can do it crying her eyes out live, and Pete could do it crying his eyes out, if you've watched the replay, you'd know that, then you can too. But this is a big step in life, doing it. Like, you have to have something to work towards. So let's get it done. So, as I said, we've now worked on catching these emotions, catching the negative thoughts. And it's even if somebody has done the most horrific thing to you, either real time, someone does something terrible today, or it's in the past that you're holding on to, just let it go. Because holding on to anger, resentment, and frustration is never going to help anyone. It's not going to hurt the person who you're angry, resentful, and frustrated with, because you're probably not even on their radar anymore. And the only person it's going to hurt is you. So notice which emotions you feel the most, as we said. Are we experiencing positive, energetic, compelling, vibrant, amazing emotions that make us feel happy? Or do we keep slipping back into these negative emotions? Guys, I had negative emotions every single day last week. I had negative thoughts about other people every day last week. It's normal. But what I am becoming very shrewd at now, and I want you guys too, and based on what you said last week you have, is I'm catching them so quickly. Why are you thinking like that, Lee? What is that serving? Who is this thought currently hurting? Because the person who the thought's about, or the situation the thought's about, doesn't even know because it's in your head. So the only person it's hurting you, and I've seen you guys start to do that this week. So it's being constantly aware that this is the biggest thing I could give you, biggest piece of advice I think to take away ever, is be aware every second you are awake of how you are thinking, consciously and subconsciously. And by the way, quickly, because it's just come to my mind now whilst I remember, Stephen, you mentioned in the group, how do I stay awake on meditations? You don't. Do not try and stay awake ever. And obviously, if it's in the morning and you've got to go to work, or you're driving down the road listening to a more conscious meditation, please don't fall asleep. Can I just put a disclaimer there? But my morning ones, I do have the light on, and I do very often I'm quite strange. I can meditate very easily with my eyes open. I just fixate a spot in the room, and sometimes like a light actually draws me into that spot. But in terms of the evening ones, the best meditation in the entire world is the one that you fall asleep to. Because the last positive thoughts, the last positive emotions, that is going straight into the subconscious mind, which is 95% of the mind, for the entire 8 hours that you're asleep. This is why watching murder documentaries or whatever else people watch to fall asleep isn't going to give you the best night's sleep, because that's what's going to be in your head. Likewise, cortisol and sleep do not mix. So again, thinking stressful, anxious, worried thoughts before we go to bed, you're always going to have a bad night's sleep, which is why the meditation is key. So please, whenever that happens, just let yourself go. That's the ultimate meditation when you sleep through the night. So we started to talk about last week, how can we cultivate, I love that word, cultivate the emotions that are in line with the reality that we want now. And we know it's not easy, because our whole lives we've been conditioned to feel a certain way, probably from the age of 5, conditioned to react a certain way. Other people have made us feel a certain way. We've been told life should be a certain way. And you know, our brains are created in these neural pathways where these thoughts and these emotions just become the same. They just become where we live, how we think, how we feel. And as we know from what we've discussed, everything runs in this process. We have a thought, that repetitive thought over time becomes a belief. That belief turns into how we behave and act. How we behave and react becomes our habits, and all of that creates our personal reality. But the best thing is, and this is why you've heard me mention this word multiple times now since I've really been studying Dr. Joe, like neuroplasticity. Like the clue is in the second half of the word. Plasticity. It's not neuroconcrete. It's not neuro-fixed. It's not neuro set in stone. It's neuroplasticity. Plasticity means we can bend and mold a new mind. We can bend and mold new thoughts. I'm going to be filming some videos about this. I'll see AJ this week. I'm sure we're probably going to chinwag on it for hours. But you know, I feel I've genuinely healed my neck more in the last 8 to 10 weeks neurally than anything else, than the MRI scans and any of the other stuff, because I've been creating certain things that's making me think and believe a different way. And I honestly believe it's having a massive impact. So, you know, it's the same thing, isn't it? You can think about the injury and the pain and what's going to happen and what you can't do in the future. You guys are about to think I'm absolutely crazy, but I'm now planning my next challenge, and it's going to be bigger than the 200 miles. Why? Because I can focus on that, or I can focus on the fact that I'm injured. Which one's going to lead me having a great day? I don't know when it will be. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I tell you what, I know that I fucking am. No doubt. That's being captivated by a vision of the future, not being shackled by a memory of the past. That's come from retraining my brain to go through different neural pathways. So I'm now focused on what I'm going to do on the future, not my current situation and how it's making me feel. Can you see the difference? Which one do I want my brain to think on when I get up and all day before I go to bed? The fact that I'm injured and what I can't do, or the fact that one day I'm not going to be injured and what I'm going to do when I'm not injured? Watch this space. Never let you down once, have I? So where this concept comes in is it's the brain's ability to reorganize, reprogram, and repattern all of your thoughts. So just like the old negative thought patterns might have become set in stone, even though they once weren't, we can rewire the brain, we can rewire the house. And this means that every time we choose a new thought, every time we become aware of the thoughts that we don't want to feel, and every time we choose to focus on a new emotion. So we choose to focus and wake up, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I'm grateful, I'm loved, everything I want is coming my way. The world is amazing, the world is a friendly universe, the world is full of amazing people. And we constantly keep thinking these things. I will do my next challenge, I will recover, this injury will go, it's just a rumble strip. Everything in the world is already mine and it's coming my way. We are starting to attach these thoughts to these emotions. How do you think I feel now that I know that I'm going to do another challenge? I feel excited. I don't even really think about my injury anymore. I don't even really think about the fact that I haven't got these feeling in the hand anymore. Certainly didn't think about it on any rides at Alton Towers yesterday. Because I'm changing what I think about, and what I'm thinking about is changing my emotions. And my emotions are leading to how I behave. So how does it start? How do we really use this knowledge? Well, every day, as soon as I get up, I'll be consciously thinking about the next challenge. Every day when I get up, I'll be consciously thinking about healing. Every day when I get up, I'll be consciously feeling happy. It's just about becoming aware. So we have to consciously choose to change our thoughts every minute of every day. You guys have seen my new vision board. It's absolutely hilarious. Logan saw it for the first time yesterday and he was like, "Daddy, what's this?" It's fucking huge, you can't miss it. I'm like, "That's Daddy's new house that he's going to have one day." And he's like, "Wow, can we have that when I'm 6? I'm like, "Oh, mate, that's like about 5 weeks. I don't think I'm going to make it happen by then." And then he was saying, but it's by the sea. How are we going to get from that in the... Daddy, are we going to get a boat? Because if that's one of our houses, then we're going to need a boat to get from that bit that's the sea to the other place and everything in between. But again, I'm getting up. The point is I'm getting up and I'm consciously focusing on what I want. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. Doesn't matter how tough it's going to be. All it matters is that you're committed to having the constant thoughts and emotions about it. So practice happy emotions. Practice smiling. Practice all of this as it's already happened. So as I said, start each day. And this is what's going to get tough now. Those of you that are engaged and doing it, that I've sent the meditations to, this is now when it's going to get tough, because it's been, 2-3 weeks for you guys. And much like me, same emotions. You're probably going to have done it relentlessly. In the first few days, connected, not, as I said, I didn't connect with meditating straight away. It took me a long time. But a bit like exercise, every day starts to get tougher. Oh, I'm tired. I'm not going to meditate tonight before bed. Oh, I've got up late. I'm not going to do it. Even if you do 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. But again, this is why people end up moving away from this journey, this thought process, the meditations, the mindset work that we're all doing. It's exactly the same as exercise. Lee, I've been to the gym and tracked my food every day for 4 weeks and I haven't lost any weight. Good, do it for another 40 weeks and then tell me. Lee, I've meditated for every day for 4 weeks and I'm still having negative thoughts. Good, do it for 40 weeks and then tell me. It will start to get, this is why this isn't just about meditation or fat loss, this is everything. This is everything why people quit, because they start out on the mission to do the thing. Brighten the screen up a bit. There we go. Whoa, not too bright. They start out on the mission to do the thing, and then they do the visualization, they do the meditation, they do the tracking the food, they do all of the things. And within 3 to 4 weeks, which is the normal time period, all of a sudden, the entire pictures of the outer world don't match the pictures of the inner world. It's not that it isn't working, you just haven't been doing it long enough. So do stick to it. But, there's been a lot of questions about meditation as well. Can I do it at this time? Can I do it at that time? There isn't a bad time to meditate. If you can't do it first thing and you need to wait until the kids have gone to school, do it when the kids have gone to school. There isn't a right or wrong time, but it really is about these deep breaths, the breath works, and just thinking about your ideal life, not thinking about what could go wrong. Thinking incessantly about how your business is going to look, how your team's going to look, how your body's going to look, how your life's going to look, how your relationship's going to look, how your happiness is going to look. Literally obsessing over it. So you don't start thinking about what could go wrong. But it isn't just lying there and doing it, guys. You have to put the effort in, the same as anything else. Like, you will know, when it instantly happens, you will know the difference between when you've done a proper meditation, where you've really put the effort in and you've made everything as real as physically possible in the mind, and when one where you've just kind of sat there still getting distracted by your thoughts every 30 seconds or less, right? And if you're struggling with that to start with, that's normal. I did. 30 seconds in, or I might just go and get a cup of coffee and carry on. 30 seconds in, start thinking about the Facebook post that I need to write earlier. 30 seconds in, start thinking about I could really do with some more sales this month. 30 seconds in later thinking, oh, I wonder why she didn't reply to that message. She's been a bit funny with me. 30 seconds in, X, Y, and Z. It's hard. It's the same as everything, right? It takes practice. 30 seconds in, squashes. Do you know what I mean? it's hard. I'm hungry. I need to go and get a drink. It's hard, trust me. But the longer you get, I was about to use a very inappropriate example there, but I'm not going to. The more you do it, the longer you can last. There we go. The more you practice, the longer you can last. Ladies are all smiling and nodding their heads. Gentlemen are all going, I need more practice. Anyway, so it is the same process, right? So if you're struggling in the interim, don't beat yourself up about it, but keep practicing. If you're struggling to get to 1 minute, fuck's sake, Lee. If you're struggling to get to 1 minute without losing focus, then getting to 2 minutes is a big win. Yeah? So, the theory behind this, and this might be what will open it up for a lot of people. So, it's not just visualizing it. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have experienced this in the morning Dr. Joe one that I sent you guys. Does anyone else hit points when you just get this ridiculous smile on your face and you can't stop it? There's certain points when he's saying, talk to the parent within you. And I'm like laid on my bed and I'm like grinning like an absolute Cheshire cat, right? Now, what you have to imagine what that is. That's me feeling emotions in regards to something that hasn't happened. I'm only on a meditation. I'm laid on my bed. But I'm that deep into what he's saying and the vision of my future that I'm creating that I'm smiling about it. I'm literally creating happiness. And unfortunately, we can do the same thing with creating our own misery with our own thoughts, our own stress, our own worry, our anxiety. Get aware, catch it, change it. So it's about feeling the emotions of excitement, of joy and gratitude, as if everything has already happened. Because this is the thing that most people don't realize, okay? Your body doesn't know the difference. If I'm imagining it that deeply, my body doesn't know the difference between whether I'm feeling in love or I'm actually in love. It doesn't know the difference between whether I'm imagining living in that villa or I'm actually living in that villa. It doesn't know the difference between whether you're feeling how you would feel when you've lost the weight that you need to lose to feel happy than you actually do. It doesn't know the difference between whether I am actually injury free now and the fact that I'm just creating the emotions of feeling injury free. So what you're doing is you're sending a signal to the universe. You're sending a signal via your subconscious mind, and you're saying, this is my reality. This is my reality. This is how I feel. This is how it's going to make me feel. This is who I am. This is how I operate. This is how I treat other people. This is how I treat myself. And it isn't just about daydreaming. It's about making it real. Really, really, really imagining that everything is yours. Like, I now believe I'm about to be injury free. Firmly, every second of every day. Not just wishy-washy, not just daydreaming. Now, I'm sure some people are probably thinking, one, you're crackers. Two, this seems too good to be true. Three, I just don't really believe in this. And if so, I get it. But this is the thing when I keep going back to people, when I keep trying to explain this, is that every single thing in the physical world started with a thought. Like, you've never even thought that. The chair that you are sat on now, the fleece that Jan is wearing, the glasses that Stephen are wearing, the pen that AJ's writing with, the pink hair dye that Ali did her hair with, the spotlights that are in Amanda Miles' ceiling, and everything in between started with a thought. It can't be argued or disputed. Every single thing in the world came from a thought. Someone thought or imagined and believed it was possible, and then they took action towards it until it was. It's exactly the same as Thomas Edison with the light bulb. Funnily, that I actually talked about a light bulb. I don't know the story inside out. I've not hugely researched him, but he was very famous for saying, he didn't fail 1,000 times in trying to create the light bulb, something that we now take for granted. He just found 999 ways that didn't work. Now, if he can produce a thought that became so powerful that he created light bulbs, do you think maybe you could produce a thought that became so powerful that it created your dream future? And if you thought about it every day, because what you're doing is, and this is a great analogy actually, what you're doing is repetitively all day, every day, you're planting seeds, planting seeds, planting seeds, planting seeds, planting seeds. But then we have to keep watering the seeds, and we have to keep checking them, and we have to keep looking after them, and we need to check that other people aren't walking all over the seeds, because if other people start walking all over the seeds, they're not going to grow. But then all of a sudden, within 4 to 6 weeks of planting seeds, we haven't got a garden full of oak trees. We've got little saplings that are starting to get stronger every day. And that's the actions. That's the actions that align with the visions. It's not just about the visions. A man who's going to be injury-free isn't sat around moaning about his injury all day, every day. He's taking action towards healing it mentally and physically, because he knows very soon it's going to be the reality. So it's about taking the actions that align with the thoughts once you've created the thoughts. Thomas Edison didn't just think he could create a light bulb and then just sat there cross-legged in a room with his hands in front of him, listening to some dolphin music on YouTube, and all of a sudden the light bulb appeared in the ceiling. He went to work on it every day. But why did he go to work on it every day? Why did he not give up after 999 fucking attempts? Because he believed it was possible on such a deep level that he was relentlessly inspired to keep taking action. So again today, just keep becoming aware. And like a big one, like this is one that I wrote down in my notes is, we discussed this last week, we need to keep catching ourselves if we go back. If you start this and go back, it's about now, I believe you all will catch yourself now, but it's about how fast you can catch yourself. So if you start worrying about not losing weight, take a deep breath and plan your next workout. Take a deep breath and plan your next food, your next meal. Me, Tarzan, food. If you start worrying about money in your business, take a breath, stop, and start thinking abundant thoughts, abundant attitudes. Now, this might feel very, very, very awkward to start with, but it's about creating new neural pathways. It's not about making the thing happen straight away. It takes time, and it's exactly the same as building muscles, building abs. How did I build my six-pack? I've trained my abs for 25 plus years. In fact, even more. I think I started doing crunches when I decided that I wanted to be Eddie off of Baywatch when I was probably about 12 years old. I'm 44, so what's that? 44 minus 12, 32. 32 years of training my abs. Also that one day I could hopefully sleep with Shawnee or Pamela Anderson, you know? Or did I have visualisation? Visualisation, I can get abs like that. I want abs like that. What am I going to have to do? If I believe it's possible, I'm going to have to work on them every day. I didn't do sit-ups for 6 weeks and all of a sudden, had abs. So it's the same thing, whether it's financial, whether it's love, whether it's relationship, whether it's confidence. It's all about the repetition of the thought. So when we start to choose these new thoughts, my energy is the best it's probably ever been the last 2 weeks, even though I've still had negative thoughts, because I'm just on this all the time. I'm just feeling good. The more I feel good, the more I give out, the more good energy that I give out, the more smiles, the more happiness, the more things I say hello to, the more people I do things for, then the happier I'm going to be. Because it's our own actions that are making us happy or sad. It's our own thoughts. So create new thoughts until it becomes your default way of thinking. And then when we have a default way of thinking, what comes after thoughts? We have a default way of believing. When we have a default way of believing, what comes after beliefs? Behaving. When we have a default way of behaving in a repetitive way, what do we create? Our reality. Thoughts, beliefs, behaviours, outcomes. Every single time. So it doesn't have to be huge either. It might just be spending half an hour a day working on a new skill that you want to learn. It might be half an hour a day focusing on becoming injury-free through healing your mind. It might be half an hour of just laying down and smiling and focusing on thinking positive, happy, grateful thoughts. But to start with, it's about creating momentum. Now, I want to address something that I discussed at the start, because it is awkward and it is uncomfortable. And whilst I always have a bit of fun with you guys, there is a serious thing to this as well, because you will all encounter resistance. It's not easy to be 6 or 7 stone overweight and sit there thinking about your dream body and how it's going to be yours. All you need to do is show up. It's not easy having come out of a highly toxic relationship that's still emotionally charged and laying down imagining being in love. It's not easy if you're thinking, oh my God, I need to make X this month, and if not, I'm in serious trouble, to lay down and think abundant thoughts. So you will face resistance on this journey without any shadow of a doubt. And there will be days when you slip back to the old thought processes, because you have to imagine that's been your identity your entire life. Now, the brain won't want to change. Why? Because when you change your thoughts, you have to change your action. When you change your action, you're going to start to change your identity. Many people are addicted to their current thoughts. They're addicted to misery. They're addicted to low self-worth. They're addicted to blaming, complaining, and justifying. They're addicted to living in to me rather than for me. They're addicted to being a consumer, not a creator. Why? Because it's so much easier. It's the difference between eating a packet of squashes or making yourself a chicken salad wrap. One's quick and easy and feels good instantly. One's not so quick, it's not so easy, and the results and the benefits take longer. So your mind is going to fight back. This is why many of you haven't done the voice note. I don't want to do that. Don't want to do that. It's all this horrible resistance, because when I do it, I have to commit to it. And when I commit to it, I have to behave in line with it. This is why many people don't move forwards. This is why many people won't say, okay, hands up, I'm wrong. They won't say, do you know what? I'm just as responsible for that relationship ending as the other person. Do you know what? it's my fault my business didn't make any money last week because I didn't even show up at 25% of what I could have done. Actually, I'm responsible for that as well, because the cost of ownership and responsibility and awareness and dream creation and planning is that we then have to adapt our behavior in line with it. And it's far easier to keep thinking the old thoughts and behaving the same way because change is tough. But we know this. Nothing is going to change until you do. And it's subconscious. The mind doesn't want to change. It's hardwired. How difficult is it for me now to start ripping the wiring out of this house and changing all the electronic pathways? Your mind's the same. It takes work. So it's going to fight back. It's going to try and pull you back into the old patterns. And your environment will be massive. People will start to get triggered. People have left our group because they're triggered by positivity. People have left our group because they're triggered by people doing the work. Because that's what a peer group is, and we know environment is everything. Conformity trumps will every single time. Proximity trumps will every single time. We become who we're around. So again, that's challenging people's thought processes. It's challenging their behaviors. And we know this is what a peer group is. A peer group is a group of people that you either upscale your behaviors, your thoughts and actions to stay part of, or you quit because you'd rather go back to the old you, which funnily is the person who you didn't like very much, and you joined the new peer group because you wanted to train. But it gets tough and people fight resistance. It's the same with food, it's the same with exercise, it's the same with mindset, it's the same with careers, it's all the same things. So what happens here is when the resistance shows up, I knew that wouldn't work. I knew it was impossible for me to lose weight. I knew I wouldn't be able to think more positively. I knew I wouldn't get that job. And then they go back to the old pathways. But what I want you to realize is when these things happen, when this resistance happens, when you want to go back to the old you, that's not a sign of failure. Okay? That's a sign of growth. This is why, again, this triggered the living hell out of someone. What the emotions of stress, anxiety, low self-worth, overwhelm, feeling uncomfortable. I put forward that they're good emotions. Because do you know what? They're putting me in, they're the universe telling me, Lee, I'm putting you in a position where you're about to grow. Now fucking push through. Because if you're not experiencing resistance, you're not experiencing stress, you're not even feeling remotely uncomfortable. What have I just done with my screen there? I was trying to read AJ's comment. Oh no, there we go. We've got Hadaway on the screen. There we go. Yeah. 3 feet from gold. That's a story in Think and Grow Rich. That a guy, can you guys see the screen all right? Has it gone back to normal now? Oh my God, what have I done here? Right, let's get rid of everything. 1 second.
Stop the screen share.
There we go.
Sorry.
Good job there wasn't anything inappropriate on my computer, wasn't there, for all of YouTube to see? So yeah, AJ's right. So the 3 feet from gold is a story about quitting. So without a long story short, some miners many years ago had literally dug for 3-4 years, invested their entire life savings, and the mine fault was in the wrong place, and they literally gave up 3 feet from gold. So again, it's a story about keeping going and not giving up. But if you're not meeting resistance doing this, I would say you're kind of not really trying hard enough. It's like it's almost like expecting to go for a run and not feel out of breath. It's like expecting to lift weights and your muscles to not hurt. You know, there will always be resistance mentally or physically. So when you experience it, rather than thinking, oh, I'm failing because I can't do this meditation or I can't do this visualization stuff, be proud that, you know, these challenges that are popping up, this resistance, is an opportunity to accept that you're putting yourself in a position where you're growing. Because if you weren't putting yourself in a position to grow, you wouldn't be facing resistance, is what I'm saying. But again, it's like a roller coaster. You're going to have days when you are positive and vibing and it's just easy, and then you're going to have days when you dip back down and find it hard. But you know, every time you have a day when you're trying really hard to reinforce these new beliefs, these new thoughts, these new pathways, and you have a day when it doesn't really work and you go back to being a little bit angry, resentful, judgmental, don't beat yourself up about it. It's not a sign that you're failing, it's a sign that you're trying. And it's not going to happen overnight, it happens over time. But naturally, as you just start to change these thoughts, you will start to change your behaviors and you will start to change your beliefs, because you will start to become aware. You'll start to become aware of how you're feeling. You'll start to become aware of opportunities. You'll start to become aware of everything that's going on in the world and the opportunity that's actually there, and that you create how you feel. And it's the most perfect example is because you're becoming so aware of what it is you want and how you need to act and behave towards it. That's when the opportunities will start showing up. But I can't tell you when that will happen. I can't promise you to start thinking loving thoughts and all of a sudden you're going to meet your dream partner. I can't promise you that to start thinking abundant thoughts and all of a sudden, you know, you're going to make 10 sales today. I can't promise you that, you know, go to the gym and eat healthy this week and all of a sudden you're going to have your dream body. But I can promise you that over time it will happen without any shadow of a doubt. And it's, you know, it's not magical. It's the awareness thing. The perfect examples, you get I think I said this last week, didn't I? But you know, you get a new dog, or someone gets a new dog, or you decide you want a new dog. You decide you want a Rottweiler, Jan. All of a sudden, everywhere you go, you see Rottweilers. You decide that you really want a Land Rover Defender because you saw one and you thought, I love that, I want it. And it's on your mind. And then all of a sudden, everywhere you go, you just see that type of car. It's not magic. It's not even anything. It's just the awareness. It's what's on your thoughts. So if all you're thinking about all day is success and gratitude and love and prosperity and your dream future, more and more things are going to show up that align with that. Simply as a result of you changing your perception, of you changing your awareness. So, when we start to do this, the reason why it's so powerful is because we attract what we are without any shadow of a doubt. And I actually put a post on my social media this morning when it was a really great thing that I learned the other weekend, where it said, you're not miserable because you've got no money. If you're a person that has no money, you've normally got no money because you're miserable. Because your thoughts are on, I don't have. Your thoughts are on lack. You're not lonely because of the fact that you don't have a happy relationship. You don't have a happy relationship because you're lonely and miserable. And it's this twist of outer world will always follow inner world. And from a financial perspective, your financial bank account will follow your emotional bank account, not the other way around. Most people think it's the other way around. When I get in a loving relationship and I've got my dream partner, I'll be happy. When I make money, I'll be happy. When I get X, I'll be happy. When X anything in the world happens, I'll be happy. That's not how it works. Outer world follows inner world. So when you can be happy with who you are, happy with the money that you've already got, happy with the body that you already live in, the house, the car, and everything in between, we're going back to gratitude here, that's when you start to attract the things. But if you're walking around, like, how crazy is it, right? If you're walking around all day, every day, miserable because you've not got any money, how are you ever going to attract money? Who's going to want to employ you if you're just miserable? Who's going to want to date you if you're just miserable? Whereas if irrelevant of what's showing up in the outside world, you're walking around abundant, grateful, energetic, happy, loving, then you're going to attract the same. But it starts with sorting yourself out first. And your outer world will follow your inner world. Not when the outer world gives me what I want, I'll give my inner world, permission to feel happy. And that's where so many people live. That's why they make it impossible to themselves. Because the rules of what they say needs to happen in the outside world in order to them to feel happy are things that they can't control. So create happiness and positivity and abundance and gratitude and from love within, and see what you'll attract back. The amount of people locked down in relationships where they feel that they're not getting love, attention, affection, and everything else from their partner, and the second they don't feel like they're getting it, what do? They stop giving it. And then they wonder why the entire relationship's going wrong. You've got two people locking horns like this. Well, I'm not getting the love, attention, sex, cuddles, emotions, affection, whatever it is I desire, so I'm not going to give it. That's the reality of often what happens in the real world. I've not got any money, so I'm not going to give any money. She's not doing X for me, so I'm not giving X to her. He hasn't called me, so I'm not ringing him. We have to be the change that we want to see. We have to be the energy that we want to have. We need to give the love that we want to receive. Give the trust that we want to receive. Because otherwise you're just going to stay stuck in old patterns that aren't serving you. So, when you start to do this, you'll also experience fear, as we do in every single situation, because when you're teaching your brain a new way of thinking and it's saying, I'm not too sure about this feels uncomfortable, what if it doesn't work out? Again, just like the body, it's hardwired to protect you. So I'm not going to give love because I might get hurt. I'm not going to trust that person because I might get burned. I'm not going to employ staff because every time I've employed staff, it's gone wrong. That's the loop that's going to keep us stuck. Like, if you love like you've never been hurt, or you choose to not give love because you've been hurt, either way, you're controlling the outcome. Because if you're never going to give love because you've been hurt, you're absolutely never going to get love. If you're never going to employ staff because people let you down, you're never going to grow your business. If you're never going to trust anyone because somebody abused your trust, then you're never going to get trust. Now, the opposite side is, if you give love, I can't control that you're not going to get hurt again. If you employ staff, I can't control that they're not going to turn out to be arseholes that will rob from you. If you trust a new man or woman, I can't control that they're not going to shag your best mate next week. All of that is out of control. But what I can promise you is if you never give it out because you're afraid that it might get abused, then you'll absolutely never get it. And if you give love and you get hurt, so what? Accept the lesson and move on. If you employ staff and they let you down, accept the lesson and employ better staff. It all comes down to what we give out. Now, the big thing that holds people down here, which I'm going to wrap this up on today, because I know that this is probably, going back to the beginning, this is probably the biggest thing as to why people don't give out, don't achieve, don't plan, don't have dreams, because it comes down to self-worth, which I think we all struggle with, which comes back to the beliefs, which comes back to the meditations. We very often as humans don't believe that we deserve success. We don't believe that we deserve the dream relationship. We don't deserve that we believe that we deserve love, happiness, prosperity, abundance, any of those things. And that's why we never really commit to go into it. One of the two things, either because we don't want to do the work because we'd rather stay the time, or we do the opposite of what we're trying to do on this training. We don't believe it at such a deep level. It's not just the fact that we don't believe it. We don't think we're worthy of it. We don't think we're good enough. And that's simply not true. And the scary thing here is because people don't believe they'll ever have the career that they want, they don't believe they'll ever have the relationship they want, they don't believe they'll have the body they want, all because they don't feel they're worthy of it. What they actually do, and I've done this many times, is they actually sabotage their own chances. They take the opposite action of the action that they want. Because they don't actually feel they're worthy of the thing that they've decided they want to go for. Now, you might not believe that, but it's a very, very real thing. This is very often why people will self-sabotage when things are going great. That's definitely a trait that in the past, if I've self-sabotaged, I never self-sabotage when I'm struggling, because I'm more in a defense mechanism of knowing I need to sort my life out. I need to sort my business out. I need to sort my relationship. I'm focused in on, and this is very, very different, slightly different with the neuro brain, but when I'm focused on solving problems, when I'm going through a crisis, when I'm battling adversity, my brain's super happy because it has things to fix. So it's very, very active all the time, and it's focused on what it's fixing and how it's going to move forwards. All of a sudden, when everything starts going rightfully and everything's good, and it's actually moving towards all the things that we've been meditating on and journaling the one, my head goes, whoa, this doesn't feel normal. We're getting close to success now. Actually, I still have this deep-rooted belief that I'm not worthy of this. Let's go and fuck it all up. Then we've got problems to solve. Then we're happy again. People are smiling and nodding because it's a very real thing. People always think people self-sabotage when they're down in the dumps. They don't. They very often self-sabotage when things are going great. Almost when you're on the pinnacle of just about getting what it is that you've always talked about, wanted. No, I don't deserve that. Subconsciously, I'm going to go and mess it all up. So, it's... Your worth is inherent, guys. It's not something you earn. It's not something you need to prove. It's all just about going back to, and we've got numerous trainings, you can go back on this, but just practicing self-love. It's the same in the visualization. Practicing acceptance. Looking in the mirror and saying, I am good enough. I do love myself. People do love me. I am worthy. Everything that I want is coming my way. You don't even have to believe it. And you might feel really awkward and really silly and really uncomfortable. But the opposite is people will stand in the mirror and go, oh God, I hate my boobs, I hate my nose. Oh my God, have you noticed this piece of fat there? Oh my God, X, Y, and Z, and I don't like this, and oh God, I'm bald, and on and on and on and on. Auto reset what we don't like about our life, what we don't like about our bodies, what we don't like about our partners, what we don't like about our kids, what we don't like about our friends, what we don't like about our business, what we don't like about our staff. So easy to go straight to that place. And it's awkward and uncomfortable to do the opposite. But that's where overcoming the low self-worth starts from. You don't have to believe it, but that starts with celebrating the small wins today. Even just celebrating the fact that you chose a positive thought over a negative thought. Celebrating the fact that someone triggered you and you didn't respond. Celebrating the fact that you spent this entire day seeing how many times you could smile, how many positive thoughts you could have, how many people you can smile at today and say, hey, AJ, have a great day. I hope you're amazing. Stephen, you're incredible. I love you. Keep thriving. Ali, you've already run the marathon. Can't wait to see you win. And have hug 6,754 photograph. Rosie, you're absolutely killing it. I could not be any prouder of you. Jan, get ready, because that business that you want is already yours. Can't see anyone else on camera. Not leaving you out. So talking about it is such a crucial part, because it's not just about thinking it. It's about feeling it. And how does it feel every time you smile? How does it feel every time you celebrate a small win? If you catch 5 negative thoughts today and change them to positive ones about a person, or you catch 5 negative thoughts about a person and then you actually just let it go and think about something else, that's a win. But we have to let go of the old patterns that aren't serving you. If you've run a pattern that you'll never have everything you want in life because you'll never be able to make enough money, you have to let that go because it's not serving you. You have to challenge it because it's not true. Big win, screen time down, 41% was that bleep, by the way. Yes! Big win. That's 41% time consuming or being present with real people over social media. So we have to let go of these patterns, but you're not going to do it overnight. So again, if you can't do it, don't beat yourself up. But they're not true. Whatever you're thinking about, not being good enough, not being loved, not being able to be rich, not being able to lose weight, not being able to grow your business, they are not true. But if we can't let go of them, the brain only has so much space. If we can't let go of these ones, and this is nothing to do with left and right brainers, by the way, then we're not making space for the new ones. You can't think positively and negatively at the same time. This is why when I mentor people on grief, once we've gone through the Kubler-Ross model, I talk about magic moments. Even if you've maybe talked about it with Tom and Liam. So when we were on the podcast, we talked about, he can focus on 21 years of magic memories with Liam, or he can talk about Liam not being here. Whichever we focus on will create our reality. We can't be practicing growth, abundance, gratitude and positivity and love and practicing low self-worth, frustration, anger and resentment at the same time. This is why the meditation's so important. It's very difficult to think 2 thoughts at the same time. It's very difficult to have 2 emotions at the same time. This is why it's not about becoming fearless, it's about developing courage. Fearless says lack of fear, doesn't experience fear. Impossible. You can't have love without hate, you can't have positivity without negativity. So it's about getting rid of the others and letting go as much as it is creating the new ones. Because just think of it, it's like this cup of coffee, right? That's now empty, unfortunately. But if it's full of negativity, there's no room for me to put any positivity in it. If it's full of lack, I can't put any abundance in. If it's full of hate, I can't put any love in. If it's full of fear, I can't put any courage in. It's not just about putting the new things in. We have to let go of the old things to create space for them. Now, when all these old feelings and thoughts pop up, it's not, it's not about, this is something I'm really big on now. It's not about just rejecting them or feeling like you're bad if you feel a certain way. It's about becoming aware and changing very, very quickly. Because if you try and, how people say sometimes, how do I stop thinking negatively? Just don't try and stop thinking negatively, because you can't. It's impossible. It's about catching it and changing it, not stopping it. So the next time you have a negative thought, you can actually say, thank you for reminding me the way that I don't want to think anymore. Right, now I'm aware. What can I change that thought to? So think about today. What do you need to let go of to step into your new reality? What thoughts do you need to catch sooner and change? What beliefs do you need to let go of? What beliefs do you need to create? What relationships are holding you back? What environments do you need to spend less time in? What behaviours do you need to catch earlier and change? Just be honest with yourself. And anything that's not serving you, have the strength to let them go, rather than being angry that they keep popping up. Because letting go or struggling isn't about trying to deny it. It isn't about trying to reject it. It isn't about trying not to allow negative emotions. This is the difference between emotional control, which I don't agree with, to a limit, and emotional mastery. Emotional control for me is trying to feel positive all the time and literally trying to control your emotions every second of every day. You're just going to be exhausted. Emotional mastery for me is about allowing negative thoughts, catching them very quickly, saying thank you to them for reminding you of how you don't want to think, believe and behave, and changing them very quickly. Because if you try and deny them all the time, you're just going to get very frustrated. It's not about the denial, it's about realizing and choosing where you want to focus, choosing what you want to create. But just stay patient, stay persistent. With positive thinking as well as anything else, Rome wasn't built in a day. Remember the seeds. We need to plant the seeds. We need to water them. We need to check other people aren't walking all over them. And we need to look after them. So it's the same with thoughts. We're looking after our thoughts. The step one is just becoming aware. And there'll always be days when you become reactive, negative, judgmental. I think there was a period last week. I think I slipped into it for about 3 hours. I was thinking about a situation and how I was going to handle it and how I felt about it. And it was all negative. Like that same 3 hours, I could have been spent focusing on what I did want to have happen, the actions that I did need to take. But I had to catch myself and change it. And just trust that when you do this consistently over time, even if it's a seed that you can't see, even if the seed's under the ground, sometimes it can take weeks to even break through the soil, can't it? But becoming aware and working on this every day is just part of the journey. So even if you're at the part where you just, You're planting the seed and it hasn't even broke through the surface. Keep going. Because every time you change one thought, that's a win. Every time you change a conversation and don't react, that's a win. Every time you catch yourself slipping into old patterns and choose a new thought, a new belief and a new behaviour, that's a win. Every time you get up and you set your intention for the day without checking your phone, that's a win. Hands up if you still had one day last week where you woke up and picked your phone up and looked at it before anything else. AJ, you legend. AJ nailed it, or her hand's over here somewhere and I can't see it. So that's, do you know what? That sounds so silly. That, how big a win is that? 7 days on the trot. AJ got up and set her intention before looking at her phone. That's massive. That's massive, guys. That is a life-changing habit. And it's about practice. As I said, it's about rewiring your brain one emotion at a time, one thought at a time, one act at a time. And when you do, new things will start to show up in life. New experiences, new opportunities, new people. And the other part why I did a post about this last week, but the other part why it will start to become difficult is because people will start to challenge the new you. People will start to get triggered by the new you. People will start to try and pull you back into the office at work when you can all moan about the boss or Jane in accounts or X, Y, and Z. You know, you'll have your girlfriends that want to pull you back to the let's put the world to rights when we can all talk about what's wrong with our husbands and what's wrong in the world and the cost of living and everything else. You know, lads, you'll have the guys that want to take you back to the pub and get pissed because you need a blowout because you've deserved it. But, you know, it will make other people feel comfortable. But when you're on this journey, you don't have to explain yourself. It was the post about the t-shirt you guys got me at Eskdale with the Lee Freeman ending more relationships than Jerry Springer, not because he's a massive hoe, can we just confirm? But it's about the same thing. When you start to be better, when you expect better, when you give out better, you know, you probably will be challenged by some people. And if they can't support your growth, that's okay, leave them be, but don't allow their limitations to become your limitations. You know, again, have your thought process on this week. Who do I need to spend more time around? Am I surrounding myself with the right people? If I want to be an elite level business owner, am I hanging around with elite level business people? If I want to be a marathon runner, am I hanging around with other people who want to run marathons? If I want to be happy, loving, positive, giving, kind, empathetic, compassionate, and accepting of all people, am I hanging around with people who want to be kind, compassionate, loving, and accepting of all people? If not, we need to get out and find them. Because as I said, environment trumps will. The Robbins law of proximity. You become the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So your tribe is out there, and you have a very good tribe by being in Unbreakable, because that's what we do. So to wrap up, we are going to go through setbacks, because there will always be setbacks on this journey. And when you start to go through this now, when you get into a great place, it's really hard to handle when you have a big setback. So I'll kind of give a real world example, right? A business owner example might be you finally take this jump and you invest in staff and you've got 3 members of staff and they're all set up and everything's moving forward and it's vibing, and you've realized that the only risk is not to take any risks and everything is flying forwards. And then all of a sudden, one of your new members of staff comes in and says she's pregnant. The other one comes in and she says she's decided the job's not for her. And the other person just doesn't turn out to be the person that you thought they were going to be in the business. So all of a sudden you've gone from this, yes, almost I've made it, to this huge setback. Or you might just be about to drop the deposit on a new building for a new business or any type of thing, and all of a sudden it falls through at the last minute. You might be just about to start your new dream job and then you don't get the job. You might just be about to run your first marathon after 9 months of training, and you walk outside and you trip off the curb and break your ankle. Sometimes adversity happens at the worst time, and it can happen to a level where it spirals us out of wanting to try again. Hands up if you've experienced that. You've tried so hard at something for so long, and then it just all went fucking wrong. And you just think, do you know what? I put 12 months worth of effort into that, and the reality is what I got out was nothing. In fact, it was less than nothing. Now, the way I want you guys to understand all this is every setback is just a lesson. You know, I cannot physically say this injury is anything more than a lesson. I can't just go, oh, well, that's it. I did 200 miles. This is where my mind went for a little bit. I did an amazing thing. It was all for other people, X, Y, and Z. And what was the result? I got fucking injured. That's a one-way road to nowhere. Anger, resentment, frustration, depression. Or I can start to write the story about how I came back from 25 weeks of injury and achieved something bigger and higher than what I achieved in the first place. Because every piece of self-doubt, every failure, every setback is just an opportunity to reaffirm the faith in yourself. To reaffirm the fact that you have infinite potential within you. To reaffirm the fact that you're capable of achieving absolutely everything. To reaffirm the fact that the dreams and desires that you created in the training, if you did it, are there for you. Everything you want is still there for you. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. So when you start to experience, I'm not good enough, when you want to go back to the old you, when you want to skip the gym, when you don't want to go for the business, when you don't want to, do you know what? I've tried to grow this business. It's not working. I'm just going to settle for where it is. Don't settle for mediocrity when fucking greatness is out there. Don't settle for average when you're capable of so much more. Don't settle for easy because it's tough. This is when you start to experience those emotions of, it will happen, guys, to every single one of you. That's it for me now. I'm just going to take it easy. That's it for me now. I've tried that 3 times. It didn't work, so I'm just going to stop trying. Don't go back. Don't settle for mediocrity. Practice changing your thoughts again. Choose new emotions. Choose new actions. Choose new people. Choose a new environment. Look for answers rather than accepting the answer that you've been given. But more than ever, go back to believing. You guys know my view on this. It's not if you can see it, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. Boring. You need to just believe it at a level where you're inspired to take the action towards it. If I don't believe I'm ever going to be able to run again, or lift weights again, or have the business that I talked about on the voice note, why the fuck am I going to do the work towards it? I won't. I'll go back to the old behaviours, the old patterns. You have to get it in your head every day, and it doesn't matter what setbacks happen. And as I said, this is the bit that I want to end on, because with the new ethos and the mission statement, what I'd written down is that by us becoming this way, becoming this positive energy, doing the meditations, not just as individuals, but as a team. Look at how the group's changed in the last 4 weeks. Like Anna, your contribution, AJ, never know what to call her now, recently has been huge in the group because she's on fire. She's feeling it. But she's not just feeling it, she's feeling it at a level she's inspired to do the work towards it. And then people are bouncing off of AJ. People will be bouncing off of Ali today at the marathon. And this whole thing is not just about choosing new emotions and choosing new actions for yourself. It's about contributing to a new level of energy in the world. Like your world. Every time you choose a positive thought over a negative thought, a positive action over a negative action, you create a new belief, you create a new behavior. You're actually playing a part in creating a better world. And when I listen to that, I'm like, oh my God, that is so powerful. Every time you choose a loving thought over a fearful one, every time you choose kindness and compassion over jealousy and greed, every time you choose trust over fear, you are changing the world. We're actually changing the vibration of humanity, one person at a time. So every time you have the courage and the determination to go forward, you're inspiring one other person to have the courage and determination to go forward. Every time you have a positive thought, a positive action, you're pushing that onto other people. So all you need to do is keep showing up, keep saying yes, keep challenging the thoughts, keep challenging the actions, keep challenging the awareness, and become so aware that you're doing this every minute of every day that some of you have already said this to me this week. Like, people are noticing the change in you, and you can notice the change in the group, and that's all you need to do. Just keep being aware, keep changing the thoughts, keep changing the beliefs, keep changing the behaviors. You're going to get sick to death of me saying it, but it is that simple. But it all begins with the thoughts. We can't change the beliefs without the thoughts, and we can't create the behaviors without the beliefs. But everything you want is out there. The entire personal reality that you desire is right there waiting for you. All you need to do is work on it every day and not get disappointed when there's setbacks. And that all comes from having an energy that is more connected to your compelling vision of your future than it is connected to the past or the world and what's going on in it. Guys, I love you all. Have the best day.